the people were subjected simultaneously to an intensification of two intolerable forms of relationship, those of economic exploitation and of political oppression. Relations between employer and laborer were becoming both harsher and less personal. And while it is true that this increased the potential freedom of the worker, since the hired farm servant or the journeyman in domestic industry was, in Toynbee's words, halted halfway between the position of the serf and the position of the citizen, this freedom meant that he felt his unfreedom more. But at each point where he sought to resist exploitation, he was met by the forces of employer or state, and commonly of both. For most working people, the crucial experience of the Industrial Revolution was felt in terms of changes in the nature and intensity of exploitation. Nor is this some anachronistic notion imposed upon the evidence. We may describe some parts of the exploitive process as they appeared to one remarkable cotton operative in 1818, the year in which Marx was born. The account, an address to the public of strike-bound Manchester by a journeyman cotton spinner, commences by describing the employers and the workers as two distinct classes of persons. First, then, as to the employers, with very few exceptions, they are a set of men who have sprung from the cotton shop without education or address, except so much as they have acquired by their intercourse with the little world of merchants on the exchange at Manchester. But to counterbalance that deficiency, they give you enough of appearances by an ostentatious display of elegant mansions, equipages, liveries, parks, hunters, hounds, etc., which they take care to shew off to the merchant stranger in the most pompous manner. Indeed, their houses are gorgeous palaces, far surpassing in bulk and extent the neat, charming retreats you see round London. But the chaste observer of the beauties of nature and art combined will observe a woeful deficiency of taste. They bring up their families at the most costly schools, determined to give their offspring a double portion of what they were so deficient in themselves. Thus, with scarcely a second idea in their heads, they are literally petty monarchs, absolute and despotic, in their own particular districts. And to support all this, their whole time is occupied in contriving how to get the greatest quantity of work turned off with the least expense. In short, I will venture to say, without fear of contradiction, that there is a greater distance observed between the master there and the spinner than there is between the first merchant in London and his lowest servant or the lowest artisan. Indeed, there is no comparison. I know it to be a fact that the greater part of the master spinners are anxious to keep wages low for the purpose of keeping the spinners indigent and spiritless, as for the purpose of taking the surplus to their own pockets. The master spinners are a class of men unlike all other master tradesmen in the kingdom. They are ignorant, proud, and tyrannical. What then must be the men, or rather beings, who are the instruments of such masters? Why, they have been for a series of years, with their wives and their families, patience itself, bondmen and bondwomen to their cruel taskmasters. It is in vain to insult our common understandings with the observation that such men are free, that the law protects the rich and poor alike, and that a spinner can leave his master if he does not like the wages. True, so he can. But where must he go? Why, to another, to be sure. Well, he goes. He is asked, "Where did you work last?" Did he discharge you? No. We could not agree about wages. Well, I shall not employ you nor anyone who leaves his master in that manner. Why is this? Because there is an abominable combination existing amongst the masters, first established at Stockport in 1802, and it has since become so general as to embrace all the great masters for a circuit of many miles round Manchester, though not the little masters. They are excluded. They are the most obnoxious beings to the great ones that can be imagined. When the combination first took place, one of their first articles was that no master should take on a man until he had first ascertained whether his last master had discharged him. What then is the man to do? If he goes to the parish, that grave of all independence, he is there told, "We shall not relieve you. If you dispute with your master and don't support your family, we will send you to prison." So that the man is bound by a combination of circumstances to submit to his master. He cannot travel and get work in any town like a shoemaker, joiner, or tailor. He is confined to the district. The workmen in general are an inoffensive, unassuming set of well informed men, though how they acquire their information is almost a mystery to me. They are docile and tractable, if not goaded too much. But this is not to be wondered at when we consider that they are trained to work from 6 years old, from 5 in the morning to 8 and 9 at night. Let one of the advocates for obedience to his master take his stand in an avenue leading to a factory a little before 5 o'clock in the morning, and observe the squalid appearance of the little infants and their parents taken from their beds at so early an hour in all kinds of weather. Let him examine the miserable pittance of food, chiefly composed of water gruel and oat cake broken into it, a little salt, and sometimes colored with a little milk, together with a few potatoes and a bit of bacon or fat for dinner. Would a London mechanic eat this? There they are, and if late a few minutes, a quarter of a day is stopped in wages, locked up until night in rooms heated above the hottest days we have had this summer, and allowed no time except 3/4 of an hour at dinner in the whole day. Whatever they eat at any other time must be as they are at work. The Negro slave in the West Indies, if he works under a scorching sun, has probably a little breeze of air sometimes to fan him. He has a space of ground and time allowed to cultivate it. The English spinner slave has no enjoyment of the open atmosphere and breezes of heaven. Locked up in factories 8 stories high, he has no relaxation till the ponderous engine stops, and then he goes home to get refreshed for the next day. No time for sweet association with his family. They are all alike fatigued and exhausted. This is no overdrawn picture. It is literally true. I ask again, would the mechanics in the south of England submit to this?